Okay, you've already experienced the first benefit of my presentation today. You didn't have to listen to my bio. So you can read it on your own time. This is me.
It's lengthier than mine, so.
This is me. This is my topic, integrating academy with industry. Here's what I think is fascinating about our Doctor of Business Administration program, and I pulled these from two sources. There are others that write on the same subjects, but the first principle I think that is the undercurrent and imperative in our program is that we are producing scholar practitioners. And so, you know, we are expressing an ideal of this professional excellence that's grounded in theory and research for individuals who come in informed by experiential knowledge, and they use that as part of the conduct of that research, and in the formulation of the problems that they're interested in pursuing. And it becomes motivated through these other normative aspects of who they are as seasoned professionals. And that makes it imperative that we only admit seasoned professionals that have had impact in their organizations. And that takes some time, and that takes some roles that are very important to the admission process in our program. In fact, I'd argue it's more important than whatever other academic experience they have. So in our program, you don't have to have a business background in an educational environment. You do not have to have an MBA to pursue a DBA, for example, because that's not the primordial import and effect that we're looking for. The second aspect is this aspect of engaged scholarship. And so when we're looking at individuals who come into the program, and you see them around this room, I'm looking for individuals that are very much embedded in this core commitment to bridge theory and practice. And when Grandin talks about this multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary approach to research methods, we're very interested in introducing solid social science research methods without respect to discipline, because we're looking for methods that can be applied by these individuals to bridge practice and theory. And in a grounded sense, in many cases, hopefully generate new theory that would not otherwise be evident to simply academic researchers. And in that context, we expect them to draw on a wide range of qualitative and quantitative approaches, which we all have kind of come to learn as the state of the art in social science research over the last 50 years. So what's a DBA? In our case, a DBA is a small cohort-based program that admits 20 to 30 students. Grandin said he was going to come back to it, but we believe in the cohort process. They come in 1 weekend a month, every month for 3 years, effectively. They have the month of July off and the month of January off. That doesn't mean there's no work involved. That just means they don't come in for a resident session. But over the 3 years, that last year, importantly, they come in 1 weekend a month, and they work with their dissertation team, their committee. And we maintain that rigor. The program's offered over that 3-year period. We think it's an innovative accredited terminal degree, and those are all important, right? Accredited and terminal degree. There's only 14 fully accredited AACSB programs in the US today that provide a DBA. And that's important because there are lots of doctorates out there, educational doctorates, other clinical doctorates, and there are many so-called DBA programs out there that are provided through non-accredited sources, and those do not meet the needs of the individuals that are coming into our DBA. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. The second aspect of this is they have to come in with that extensive business experience, and they normally hold a master's degree. It complements but is different than the PhD, and I think this is important. I think Grandin did a wonderful job of distinguishing between the two. But I think it's also important to understand that I see them as very complementary. You know, I see the research interests of our DBAers as informing and actually exciting many members of our faculty who otherwise are also responsible for PhDs. And I think what will happen over time is we will broaden the range of research interests through that interaction. So for example, tomorrow morning, One of our leading researchers in design science research, a colleague of Grandin and I's, a guy named Al Hevner, is going to come in and present state-of-the-art thinking around the design science research paradigm. And I am guessing there will be 3, 4, 5 members of that 24-person cohort, I can already anticipate who they are going to latch on to that particular paradigm as the process and approach that they're going to take for their dissertation. And that's going to give Al cases and examples of an expansion of his research well beyond the software area that he has historically focused design science research in. It's going to go into the Internet of Things, for example, which is one of our students' areas of interest. What's the objective, though? We're going to apply research methods to real-world decision-making, which means we're going to really look and we're going to expect our DBAers to look at serious problem domains, problem spaces that they experience, and then look at application of the methods. This population of high-level executives with extensive experience in the US and frankly in Europe and the rest of the world is massive, and it's untapped. And 14 DBA programs in the US and whatever it is in Europe, 14 executive DBA programs across Europe might be approximate, are not even tapping into the potential for the number of individuals that meet this category. Who pursues it? Well, in our case, of the 60 entrants into our program, the participants in our program, this is what they look like. About 70-30 men and women, and growing, right, ladies? Yes. Diverse industry experience. You can see by role and by industry experience that we have a wide range of diversity. And I promote that, and Grandin promotes that, and our DBA committee is invested in a diverse set of individuals and experiences so that when they get together on the weekends and interact, they fundamentally bring different perspectives that also inform their peers in different ways. And some of the most interesting work on creativity out there suggests that that's a great way to take a metaphor from one industry and populate it into another, or one role or discipline and bring it into another. And they learn from each other if we set ourselves a goal of having a very diverse set of individuals in this cohort. And you can see the age distribution as well. Really, the sweet spot is somewhere between 35 and 65. Our median's about 48. And the bottom line is that's going to happen because we're looking for these very seasoned execs who have had impact. Now, we have individual contributors, but when you look at their background, they have had amazing impact on their organizations, and that's good enough for us. Everybody asks me, why in the world, at that stage in your career, 48, 50, 52, you're highly successful, you really do not one of these people have to have a DBA for the rest of their life. Why the heck do you put yourself through 3 years of misery, in order to accomplish this? And inevitably, these are the reasons I hear. I'm a lifelong learner, and it's usually a combination of these. I'm a lifelong learner, I can't help myself. I never knew there was going to be a program, but I can't take time off of my job to go and get a full-time 4 to 6 year professional PhD. I just can't do it. Second, I have had these sticky, wicked problems in my business, my industry. I've never either had the time or the discipline to sit down and just investigate them as modes of inquiry. And I can tell you that I look for this in every applicant, because if they don't come in with a serious area of investigation and inquiry, they can't last 3 years, right? You can't make it up. You do make it up as you go in a sense, but you have to have this inquisitive area of interest where you're trying to solve these wicked problems in your business or maybe in your industry. A third is many of them are looking at this as a step to the next evolution in their career. They really do intend to make an impact on their industry, on society, in government, and they see a doctoral program terminal degree as a way to facilitate that. Many of them also are looking for a full or part-time academic role at some point in their career, and more, particularly in the US and probably in Europe and other places around the world, if you don't have a terminal degree from an accredited institution, you're not going to get a job. You're just not, and you're certainly not going to get a job at a master's level or above, and you may not have the kind of impact that you'd like to have. We are looking at these different roles called clinical professors, and we can get into that at some point. And finally, many of these people just want to publish the wisdom that they've had, that they feel they've gained over years of experience, and they want a venue and a discipline to do that. So why should an institution offer a DBA, right? That's the other part. Here's what we think. We think it's the fundamentally best way to create partners for the conduct of research with relevance. Second, it absolutely bridges the divide between academy, or academics, and practice. It fills a very real need for clinical professors. And in healthcare, we've always had clinical professors, right? We've had the professors who are pure academics and they spend all their time in a lab. And then we have practicing doctors, practicing nurses, clinicians who spend a part of their life also instructing the next generation. It's absolutely a phenomenal way, in my estimation, to infuse our curriculum, particularly at the graduate level, with practicum. And it generates robust, relevant research areas of interest and inquiry that are not evident to people who have spent 20 or 30 years in academic research. Not always evident. It develops and offers other opportunities for us to investigate. And fundamentally, I think, as Grandin said, you know, I can suggest that the future of business schools, particularly in North America, are those that are going to generate a rich level of interaction in that entire diagram that Grandin shows you. And this is one of the ways to do it. Here's an article that just came out in the Florida Trends magazine today. This morning. This is Jim Steichleather. Jim is the Chief Innovation Officer for Dell Computers. You all know Dell Computer Corporation. He's in our program. He's actually Tampa-based, but he works all over the world. And there's, you can read the article, but the bottom line is, I love his quotes here, and I'm not sure if this laser doesn't work. So his first quote up here is, in this article, I only have 2 more slides, but he says that he sees companies gaining more appreciation for this degree as senior executives bring problems into the academic world to solve and learn how to do research, analysis, and understand the methods for presenting results. And what he's really saying there is, you know, there's a divide when business leaders don't really understand what academics do when it comes to research and what they can do for their business and their opportunities. And this bridges that divide very quickly. We are building 60 people, and by next year we'll be building almost 100 people in our, primarily in the Tampa Bay, Central Florida community who get it. And the second thing he says is, just on a personal level, he's learning how to do types of research, how to construct experiences, develop theories of management in his case. And most of the classes teach you how to write and how to research and how to publish content. I mean, it's wonderful to see that from one of our participants because that's certainly what we try to do by design. And, you know, this is who we are. Cohort 1, Cohort 2, a total of 60 individuals. If you'd like, you can go right to our website and you can look at all of the profile of both cohorts. And we think that's probably the best marketing tool we have. And we're unabashed about putting their faces and their bios up there because it's an incredible statement.
Yeah, we also have to reprint all of them because they got the wrong years. It's 2017 and 2018, but oh well.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
So at this stage, we thought that it might be interesting and of interest to you if we invite, you know, several of the individuals down front, and they can maybe answer. I'd like them to talk very quickly about why are they in this DBA program, and then secondly, open it for any of your questions. So I have a few of my volunteers. Would you come forward?
Come on up.